Hey guys, today we're playing Duke Nukem Forever for the PlayStation 3, everybody's favorite game. So without further ado, let's get started. We're going to play a new campaign. I never tried the downloadable content. I really wanted to. I don't know what stopped me. I'm always hesitant with the downloadable content. I guess because it's not on one disc. Unfortunately, this game was such a miserable failure sales-wise. I don't think we're going to get a greatest hits anytime soon. Matter of fact, I paid $3 for this game, and not because I waited. It's just because it went in value down that fast, and unfairly, I might say. I'll elaborate in a bit. So, one thing that's really being nitpicky about this game, one of the few negative things I have to say is the load times are super long, but it gives me more incentive not to die. So in a way, it's kind of like making you better. But anyway, this is the anticipated sequel to Duke Nukem 3D. This game exists in a world where there was no other Duke Nukem game beside Duke Nukem 2, and Duke Nukem 3D. This is Duke Nukem Forever. It probably would have been more clever probably when Batman Forever and stuff was out at the time. But I think 3D came out around that time, so maybe not. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. They call it Forever because it's part 4. But there is a lot of people that really anticipated this game, and I think that's why this game might have gotten as harsh scores as it did. It doesn't deserve it, and I have a few theories of why people might not like this game, because
this is taking forever. Time to stop pissing around and get this.
Let me finish peeing so I can get this big guy back into action, or whatever he said. Alright. His prostate must kill me. It seemed like he had more piss left in there. Alright, so let's talk about that. Gwen, we don't need you to chew your bone during a video. Sorry, my dog's chewing her bone. But yeah, let's talk about that. So, not Gwen chewing her bone, which she always seems to do when I'm making a video, and it's kind of getting aggravated. But yeah, my first theory is people had huge high expectations. Second of all, Gearbox made this game for the simple Gearbox made this game to reflect what the product was supposed to be and when it was supposed to come out. Probably like 15 years ago, whenever it was supposed to come out. It was supposed to come out probably in the late 1990s, maybe early 2000s or whatever, however you want to phrase it. They didn't want to change too much. They wanted to keep to the plan. As a matter of fact, I have an advertisement for this game in the old magazine. That's like the new games in there, where it was advertising this game and Duke Nukem A Time to Kill, which is like the Tomb Raider version Duke Nukem. And yeah, they had a picture of this game, and it was a... Where's the area where you can... This is the only game that I know of that you can throw poo like a monkey, which is great. It keeps the humor from the other games. But yeah, if you look at the old screenshots, you'll actually see like a picture of like some of the later levels in this game. So they stay true to the vision. Another reason why I think people might not like this game is because of the humor is kind of immature, which if you're playing a Duke Nukem game, you should know what you're getting into. Second of all, people might just not like Duke Nukem. And third of all, the game's kind of misogynistic and probably isn't the most respectful thing towards women, and that's about it, because I feel like it's a functional first-person shooter. And I like that you can the interactive environments a lot, although I really can't do anything.
The red marker. Smells like cherries.
Really creative with the analog stick. I'm sure if you had a mouse and keyboard, you could do something. But I kind of like the humor, like when he's drawing on there, like, oh man, that's a great plan. But anyway, I think this game functions perfectly as a first-person shooter, and it's supposed to be played like an old-school first-person shooter, and that's exactly what it does. It has gore, it has dumb enemies, and it's fun. It has lots of weapons, lots of things to interact to, and it feels like a proper sequel to Duke Nukem 3D. And I think if this came out when it was supposed to, people would have probably had this on their top 10 list back in the day. Now, you might think I'm psychotic or crazy, but that's what I personally think. I just think that this game came out way later, and the later that it, well, obviously it came out way later than it was supposed to be, but as the game didn't come out, people's expectations rose like it was going to be like the second coming, which just isn't going to be the case. People will be like, how can you like a game that's misogynistic? And people are really complaining about censorship and sexism in games and stuff lately, and I honestly think it's bullshit. I think that there should be sexism in games if that's what the artist wants, just like I think that there shouldn't be sexism in games if that's what the artist doesn't want. What I don't want is somebody to stifle somebody's vision, no matter what it is. It's our choice as adults and consumers to choose what we want to. I can't stand censorship. I think it's bullshit. Now, there's extreme examples, like, I mean, I'm not saying, like, I agree with, like, some Silence of the Lambs Buffalo Bill bullshit, but where you, like, kill people and wear their skin for artistic reasons, but just, like, film and movies and whatever, I feel like if that's what the artist wants, that's what they should get. And and I think to deny the people that is completely taking away from the artist's vision. I'm sure in the original Duke Nukem 3D, this boss wasn't as easy as it is in this game, but this is the first part. This is actually the last part of the main level in Duke Nukem 3D when that first came out, not with all the expansion packs and whatnot. You gotta wait for the stuff to parachute. So you guys probably freaked out when I said I think there should be sexism in games. But I think there should be anything in a game if that's what the artist wanted. Because otherwise, if you stifle a vision, it becomes something else entirely. It's like when you watch like a R-rated movie on regular TV and it's edited and they take out all the gore and the cursing. It becomes a completely different movie. You feel like I miss out. If the artist's message, art's subjective to begin with, but if the artist's message is shitty or whatever, or they want to make something that's offensive or childish, that should be their prerogative. It should be our choice to choose whether we want to support the product or not. Just like somebody has every right to make a super, I don't know, like a super intense Christian game where like the whole object of the game is to collect money for the collection plate and give people hugs and feed the homeless. If people want to make that game, they have that game. Somebody wants to make a game with everybody that has their dick hanging out or whatever, more power to them. They can make that game too. Because I feel like if they're not allowed to make that game, I have no right playing games like this. So I don't believe in censorship because I think it just stifles creativity, whether it's creative or not. That's not us to decide. Art's subjective. again, it could be anything you want it to be in your mind, and somebody else will have a completely different opinion because it's subjective. And I believe that everybody should make the kind of film they want to make, the kind of music they want to make, the kind of art they want to make, the kind of game they want to make. I think it's fair is fair. And there were people that censored a lot of things, and those people were called Nazis. If you don't know what Nazis are because you're illiterate and you don't read, I'm sure you've probably seen them on the History Channel or probably played Medal of Honor or something. I apologize for that siren. But yeah, that's my idea about censorship. I can't stand it. I don't like it. And as long as it's not harmful, like, I mean, there's extreme, like, examples, like I said, like serial killers or some Jeffrey Dahmer shit, but as far as like harmless, and that's subjective too. You'd be like, people being subjected to this is harmless because like it could warp the way they think, but we're all adults. At least if you're a responsible parent, you wouldn't let your kids be subjected to things until they can make their minds up maturely and responsibly. Some people probably shouldn't see things, and that's the beauty of being an adult. Is it already dead? Man, I ramble and already beat the thing. Oops, I guess it's not already dead because I ramble too much. Let me get that. But I mean, we're all responsible adults, and it just makes me sick that somebody else is making the choice of what's appropriate or what's not appropriate for me, and that just disgusts me. And maybe it's just because I have an, like, I don't know, sort of a apprehension to authority or whatever. I don't know, but I don't like that idea of somebody else making choices for me. And like I said, I don't feel like I have the right to play something if I feel like somebody else has, like, denied their right to play something, you know? If that makes sense. I'm trying to play a game at the same time and rambling. It probably wasn't the best idea to try to have this conversation while playing a game, and apparently I'm getting fellatio in this game, but, you know, this is the kind of stuff I think kind of burned people out. I do like that this game acknowledges that this is a sequel. As much as I like the movie Ghostbusters 2, the sequel to my favorite film of all time, I always thought it was weird on Ghostbusters 2 where, like, nobody really remembered, like, a 100-foot marshmallow man, and all of a sudden the Ghostbusters are a fraud. Like, that's kind of hard to swallow. They never explain it. Maybe there's a script where they explain that part. Maybe there was, like, some memory via or something. But anyway, yeah. As far as censorship goes, I just feel like any artist should be able to do whatever they want to in a game, and it's up to us as responsible adults to make the decision to play the game or not. Now, if you're not a responsible adult or whatever, and you're easily influenced by such things, there's a good chance that you probably shouldn't be a functioning member of society, and you might need to be in a mental institution. But for the majority of us, like, we're intelligent enough to know what we like, what would offend us or what wouldn't, but we can't deny somebody else the right to play a certain type of game or have a certain content in a game or not have certain content in a game, because to be truly free, you literally have to win some, lose some. You have to allow the things that you might not necessarily agree with in art and content in order to have the stuff that you do agree with in art and content. It's pretty simple, really, if you think about it. But that's the price of being free. It's just like people might riot or picket or have, like, their little rallies or whatever, which might suck, might not be what you agree with or whatever, but in order for you to have your privilege of doing the same thing, you have to deal with that. And to set all these standards about what should be in games and what shouldn't be in games is bullshit. And to say that people are stupid enough, or gamers are stupid, too stupid to make and mature decisions on their own because they're not able to handle such imagery, or the imagery is offensive, is just ridiculous. If it's offensive, you have the right not to watch something, not to look at something, not to play that game. Simple as that. So this is Duke's mansion. It's pretty luxurious. He's still wearing fingerless gloves, so some things don't change. I have a feeling, even though this game did so poorly sale-wise, I think that I wouldn't. Well, I don't think. I have a sneaking suspicion that we might still see a sequel at some point, because I think people still. There'll come a time, at least. I think right now, a lot of people are sick of the character because expectations are way too high. But I think we'll see Duke Nukem again in the first-person form. But beside the offensive content and Duke's personality, some people might not like it. I don't know where people get off of saying this is a bad game. This game does what most first-person shooters do. You know, it doesn't do anything. I mean, if you stripped out all the humor and stuff like that, I think it would be like any other first-person shooter. Maybe the weapons would be a little bit more futuristic, but I mean, it has pretty much all the bells and whistles and stuff like that. So to see this game trashed like it was kind of like baffling. People just need to say if they don't like a game or not, but to trash a game because you don't like it, that's wrong, at least in my opinion. As you can see, Duke's a celebrity. But
Glad to see you, Duke. Hey, what's up?
Yeah, but to be I don't know. And at the end of the day, everybody needs to be their own critic and decide for themselves, in my opinion. But I know people don't have hundreds and thousands of dollars to buy every single game known to man to be able to choose that. I understand that, but some of these games are just being trashed, and people, and I'm sure the people will be like, oh, I'm the biggest Duke Nukem fan or whatever, this game blows. And it's like, what, in what way? How does it blow? Because it didn't live up to your expectations? Or because you legitimately think it's a terrible game?
Yeah, my kid's a real big.
Because I think this beginning part of this game is actually fantastic. The way you interact with this, it's a good start.
But I better not find this on eBay.
And it's a shame, although I haven't played the DLC, that looks like a professional signature.
I want to grow up to be just like you.
Take your pills, vitamins, every day, and you might grow up to be as awesome as me.
Wow, thank you, Mr. Nukem.
They have a cool new thing where, the more stuff you interact with, your ego goes up, and your ego is basically kind of like your temporary health or whatever. Kind of like how many times you get hit before you have to do the Call of Duty hide behind a cover thing. So you kind of got to interact with things and try to find out,
Hey, glad to see you, dude.
what helps you out and what doesn't. But anyway, hopefully you know what I mean when I say that, if a game warrants sexism or whatever that's some people find offensive, it doesn't mean that I'm necessarily for that in a game, but I'm just saying if that's the artistic's vision, I feel like they have every right to put that into a game. Because if they get denied their right, what right do we have to play the kind of games that we want to play? I pushed the right button. Good.
Sorry, Duke. Looks like they're shutting us down for the night. On slow days,
I heard all these people, but there's not a lot of people in the background. From what I read, I heard the PlayStation 3 version is actually the better console version. That kind of blows my mind if that's true, considering the 360 is closer to PC architecture, but that's what I read. Gearbox always plays to the strengths and weaknesses of both consoles, so it could be true. Gearbox always was kind of good at programming for the PlayStation 3, but I don't know. I haven't played the 360 version, so I can't really compare. I'm playing with this off-brand Afterglow controller that's kind of like a 360 controller. It's a little bit smaller, and until you get used to it, your hands kind of catch on the triggers, but I kind of dig the analog sticks so far. So if you're on a budget and need a new controller, I might recommend it. But if you hate it, pretend I didn't say anything. I have the sound somewhat low, so I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Amateur! Are you kidding me? I'm trying to do a scene with Johnny on the
Oh, thanks, Duke. That guy was a douche.
He was, and I like that blood splattered on the screen. But yeah, anyway, to reiterate my point, because I really want to be careful. I don't want to alienate everybody, because I believe in equal rights of everybody, whether you're a boy, girl, man, woman, gay, straight, ninja, cyborg. I believe everybody should have equal rights, and in order to have that, you have to accept things that might be offensive. You know, that's just part of the deal in order to be able to do what you want to do. And as far as doing what you want to do, I'm strictly talking about art, film, and games in this particular video, because there's so many different variables, you know. Because like I said, you can have extreme examples like mass genocide and be like, oh, that's art, ha ha ha. Somebody can make that comment or whatever, but you guys get what I mean, I hope anyway. Somebody's taking a major shit in there. I like the little quirky interactive environments in this game. Maybe people who played this game never actually got to the shooting segments. It's possible. So many people fucking read reviews. Also, I'd like to hear why because I know a lot of you probably don't like this game. Why don't you like this game? And don't waste my time by quoting a website or something like that. Actually tell me your own opinion and why. And don't tell me because of the character or anything like that. Like, if you think this game is legitimately bad, tell me why it's bad, but it can't be based on the character. Oh, I admire myself in the dark.
Sexy bag.
It can't be because of the character or anything like aesthetic. It has to be something that's actually broken with the game. Like some flaw in the actual gameplay, because Duke Nukem's supposed to be kind of a raunchy, kind of moronic, chauvinistic character. That's just the way he was designed. What does this game do so much worse than other games? And you can say, oh, this game has shitty AI, but a lot of games have shitty AI, and that's just so you feel like a badass. Sometimes it's not lazy. Sometimes it's intentional. So, I mean, a lot of people think Robotron 2084 is a classic. Does that have groundbreaking AI? No. Does a game necessarily, if it's new, have to have all the newest features? Or does it just need to be fun? That's the thing. I think a game just needs to be fun, despite whatever's going on with it. I think this game's pretty fun, to be honest with you. Sometimes I think the humor is a little bit immature and off-putting, but I'm able to be mature enough to look past that and enjoy the game for what it is. And that's just personal taste. It's art subjective. Games are art, in my opinion. But this game sort of ends on a cliffhanger, and I'm sure they had every intention of ending the story with like a sequel or something that can continue on with the game, because I think they thought that this game was going to be a huge hit. I think they thought that people were going to be more open towards this game, because this was what the sequel, the original vision to Duke Nukem 3D was supposed to be. It's not doing anything that's out of character for Duke Nukem 3D, especially if you pretend that the other games don't exist. We gotta go to our secret base.
Pal. The king needs his throne.
No way, man, no way! I'm not leaving until I get my picture on this throne. I've waited years for this.
Apparently Duke Nukem's a pretty big deal. I love how distasteful his house is. It kind of reminds me of like on Scarface, where he had like the worst furniture known to man.
Thanks, man! I can't wait to check the mail!
Gwenny, go lay down. When I said Gwenny, I'm talking to my dog. Sorry. There's always a lot going on. I came home not too long ago, so my pets are kind of stoked that I'm here, but I really wanted to make a video. Like I said, the only thing that's really off-putting about this game, in my opinion, is the loading screens. Have any of you guys played the DLC? I've been really curious about it. I don't like to watch playthroughs because it kind of ruins the game. For me personally, I like the element of surprise, but does that continue where this game left off, or is it a complete standalone story? Let me know in the comments, please. Since there probably will never be like a special edition with everything in it, since this game was a miserable failure in sales, like I said earlier. But I mean, yeah, the character and stuff feels out of time and stuff like that. But it's because Gearbox purposely tried to make a... Let me see if I can turn this sound down a little bit. I have to resort to ones. Hopefully you can hear me decently. It's still pretty loud for a 1. I believe he's in like some of the spin-off games. If I'm not mistaken, I think I remember him in like a Nintendo 64 game. I might have imagined it though. I imagine a lot of things. You gotta kind of experiment with everything, because you don't know what might give you an ego. I don't think spinning a chair will give you an ego though. Go figure. I know to give me an ego. There's this little Scarface chair. Maybe people were turned off because of the slow start of the game, but it speeds up. And it's kind of creative with like some of the levels with the... I know some people don't like the driving, but it's different. And each level kind of switches things up, so there's always something new to do. So I find that interesting, and actually think that's something better than a lot of first-person shooters do. I just think expectations were way too high on this one. Are people just didn't like the chauvinistic quality of Duke Nukem. Now, if you didn't like that, I can completely understand that you didn't like Duke Nukem's personality. I wonder why you're playing this game to begin with, unless you've been living under a rock, because I think everybody who plays games at this point of age knows who Duke Nukem is, but... So I wasn't listening, and no... I gotta guess what to do, because I'm running my mouth. And when I run my mouth, I don't know what to do.
I've got a really bad feeling about this.
But yeah, it feels like a modern 3D Realms type game, but I mean, it was a product, like Gearbox wanted to make this game. Oh shit. I keep on forgetting what the buttons are. Maybe I'm not supposed to fight him. I did beat this game, if you can believe it. One thing I did see in a lazy game review video of this a while back, which I never thought about, is that it doesn't have Duke Nukem's mighty foot. Which is, I would imagine, one of the more iconic things about Duke Nukem is him kicking shit, but they didn't put it in the game, but maybe that's what the developers wanted. Shit. You're not gonna give me a gun? What an asshole. This pinball machine's actually functional. And I love pinball. I believe playing this will actually give you some ego. Another thing I really like about this game is how interactive everything is, and that's true to Duke Nukem 3D.
I've got balls of fail.
I think you can... Yeah, there we go. Look, a mini game. You have to understand this game doesn't take itself seriously at all. Okay. I gotta move on so my video doesn't drag on too much. Okay, we're done. A lot of tapping X, which is fine as long as you don't mind carpal tunnel syndrome. That's a really stupid joke, but I made it anyway because I'm desperate. So we go down the tunnel. I think this is a fine looking title. It doesn't look like the fucking Last of Us on PS3 or some other Naughty Dog game, but Duke Nukem is such a fucking lightweight. Like, has one beer and fucking rages. This is the asshole you don't want in the fucking bar. Start fighting fights with everybody just after like one drink. You think like Duke Nukem would be like a fucking like Southern Comfort, like, or fucking whiskey, man. Like, that beer is doing damage like he fucking drank a bottle of Southern Comfort.
Warning. Power outage. Please use your Duke Vision.
Okay. Now I'm using my Duke Vision. I have pretty advanced shades, even though they look like they're from the 1990s. Push X to jump. I love these tutorials that tell you what to do after, like, you've played the game for a long time, that you probably already had to do all that stuff at some point. But it's nice to have. Another thing LGR said is the sound. I have the sound down, so I can't hear the Duke Nukem Vision. The Duke Vision, or whatever the hell it's called. But I think it did have a high-pitched sound. It never really bothered me, and I have really sensitive hearing, so I don't know. To each his own. He liked the game, and he's a pretty big fan, so I think it's fun even if you're not a fan, as long as the humor doesn't bother you. The humor is hit or miss for me, but I mean, it's a fucking cartoon basically to me. Like, I really can't take it seriously. Like, if I get mortified and offended by this, it'd be like a 3-year-old trying to make fun of me and I actually get pissed off. But I will admit, like, it's chauvinistic and stuff like that. But like I said, in order for everybody to make the kind of game that they want to make, or play the kind of games that they want to play, you have to allow the games that you don't like or you don't necessarily agree with content-wise to be made as well. And like I said, I do believe in equal rights among everybody, but when it comes to art, I just believe in the freedom of expression as long as it's not harmful to you or others. And I know that can be subjective too, because like I said, you could be like, oh, well, if somebody's exposed to this, it could warp the way they think or whatever. But I think if you're a responsible adult playing a mature rated game, I think your head should be on straight. If it's not, I think you have more serious problems you need to deal with if a video game affects the way that you think. Like, you have no business playing video games, watching movies, and you probably need psychiatric counseling. So there's some physics puzzles, and of course, what do? I drink the thing that makes you lose coordination. Let me on that platform. Alright, now, even though he's a lightweight, he seems to recover pretty fast. The average person metabolizes beers at approximately, well, for a guy, usually about 2 hours per beer. Women metabolize alcohol a little bit slower than men. Alcohol is more dangerous for women. Alcohol is dangerous for everybody, but more so than women. It's a fact. See, who said my channel wasn't educational? Insert energy cell inserted. It looks like that thing that you have at the bank that goes in the vacuum tube. It appears that I have another one already. I just picked up shit and didn't even think about it because I was talking. But it's good to know I have it, you know, I guess. I knew there'd be one that it didn't have. It's just my luck. So you don't always have to have smart enemies. Sometimes it's fun just to move people down or aliens down or whatever in games. It's more stress reliever than sometimes people backflipping. And I like good AI too, but I mean, I like all different sorts of things. I don't like to pigeonhole myself into liking one type of game. I try to have like a game that fits every type of mood that I have. Look at this. This is fun. How are you going to say this game's bad? I guess you could just be like, this game is bad. But tell me, like, on a technical level, why you think it's bad. Not the design of, like, the characters or the aliens or the weapons or whatever like that. Tell me, on a technical level, why you think this is bad. I'm just curious. Because I don't really think on a technical level that this thing does anything that's terrible. Sure, parts like these are awkward. But I think a lot of times people's expectations were too high for this game, or they just don't like the character. But just because you don't like a character doesn't mean it's a bad game. This might be the best I've ever done with the remote control car. Thank you, whoever makes toys. I was trying to think of a remote control car company. I guess Tyco. Thank you, Tyco. Whoever makes remote control cars. I beat that joke to death. Not that I'm a comedian, nor that I ever claim to be, so don't hold it against me. All right.
You really know how to turn a girl on.
Oh, that's cute. All right.
Power on. Now it's time to kick some ass.
I hope they call him Duke Nukem because he's able to handle a massive dose of radiation, because that does not look safe. Get those pills. Oh, they call them steroids. I think it was a Nintendo 64 version. One of the versions like censored the game and refused to call them steroids. You know, sometimes I play these more complicated first-person shooters, and they start to make me want to play games like this sometimes. Like, I was really happy when they released the BFG version of Doom. I like had a blast. And what does this game do worse than Doom or the original Duke Nukem 3D? Like, what were you expecting from this game, honestly? This game is not meant to be like some deep, mind-blowing experience. The pigs in this game are a lot more aggressive and wild. I will say that. I forgot about them. Usually they're just like in Duke Nukem 3D, they were just like these shotgun-toting cops, also known as pigs or whatever, because, you know, that's like slang for a derogatory slang for a police officer if you weren't in the know. It's sort of like a play on word/design. This video is getting kind of long, so I might have to cut it short. I might do another one, you know, because I enjoy this game, unlike a lot of people out there. As you can see, like, it's almost incentive to do well on the game so you don't have to wait between the load times. That's my only gripe, especially for the PlayStation 3, because the PlayStation 3 actually has a fairly long and large install on it, so you think it would load faster, but that is definitely not the case. That's fine. Like, I beat it. I remember when I got this game, I played it all the way through. But I would like to see like a modern follow-up. This was actually like a design from like the late 90s, early 2000s, and they followed through with it. So which way was this supposed to go? This is not the game's fault. This is me being disoriented because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing when I'm talking. I could always do a commentary after I record the video, but what fun is that? I think I hear something. Yep. Did me grabbing the steroids, is that what made all these guys come? Do they really like steroids or something? If you're not careful, you can die pretty quick, as I'm probably going to do again, and if I do, I'm going to call it a day. But it's fun, like Doom or the first Duke Nukem 3D. I don't see any problems with it. People complain, oh, it's too short. Well, I guess you don't have much bitching to do since they sell it for $3 now, since nobody bought it. But I think it would have been worth the full price. Thank goodness. I thought I was screwed. These laser guns don't reload. This time he has like this gold gun instead of his original gun. I'm telling you like the obvious. Obviously you can tell. Once he got rich and famous, he got a custom gun. I kind of want the laser gun instead, since they don't reload. Yeah, these work better for right now. Maybe the other gun will be better. It's actually kind of cool to see what everything's supposed to actually look like versus like the 2D sprite images. But yeah, I would love to see like a follow-up to this game made from scratch. But I think the environments and stuff are cool, and I don't think that this is the atrocity or abortion of a game that everybody makes it seem to be, and I laid out some reasons why I think people might not like this game. That's the only thing I can really think of. I get to use a turret, which is always fun. It's almost like a requirement for every first-person shooter to have like at least one part where you control a turret. It's almost harder to think of a first-person shooter that doesn't have a turret versus one that does. This is a little awkward part to load. It kind of looks like the space jockey in the derelict spaceship. That's what that thing reminds me of. A gigantic turret. It's one of my main gripes about Prometheus is not the actual movie itself, because I think the movie's good. It just took the mystery away from the space jockey, which I thought it was kind of cool that it was mysterious and you didn't really know what it was. that's a completely different controversial thing on its own. This actually runs on a modified version of the Unreal Engine 2, if you can believe it. Now, if you want to know what ran on the Unreal Engine 2 to give you an idea of the age, the Unreal Engine 2 actually is what the original Splinter Cell ran on. But it does look like an Unreal Engine 3 game, if you ask me, so it's highly modified for sure. When do I get to start shooting? I don't think it's the best looking game on the system. I mean, there's tons of games that aren't the best looking game on the system, but I think it looks good. I don't think it's this horrible, ugly atrocity of a game. One thing that's easy to do is to overheat the turret before you can defend yourself. But I'm sure the developers obviously had that in mind, and these guys are buttholes too. They actually might be more buttholes than the actual giant mothership. And I busted my glasses. Not because the game is bad, just because I suck when I'm trying to do commentary. But anyway, this is Duke Nukem 3D. I enjoy this game. I listed the reasons why I think people might not like it. But if you think this is literally a bad game, feel free to tell me why. But on a technical level, not on an artistic or character or like design. You can say bad level design, but I mean, I think it's pretty standard to any other first-person shooter. Like, compare it to another first-person shooter, even though every game should be its own unique thing. But tell me why on a technical level. Don't just say this game sucks. And don't waste your time quoting another website or another reviewer, because it not only wastes my time, it wastes your time, and it makes you look stupid like you don't have your own opinion. But anyway, guys, I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, please click the like button and feel free to subscribe. Feel free to leave comments, positive or negative. If you choose to leave negative comments, please make sure they're constructive, and please don't try to put me down or anyone else on my page. Thank you guys so much for watching and your support, and I will talk to you on the next video. Take care. Bye.